So after a little while, you know, you just fell into it. But it was, from my point of view, it was nice because I could walk down the street and nobody knew me. You know, apart from maybe the areas I was playing in, where they got to know you a little bit. But I could do normal things. You know, I wasn't getting in fights in the street, people driving me crazy. I could take the dog for a walk, I could go to the supermarket. So from that point of view, it was nice. And I made friends because of me. Not because of what I was or who I was, because of me. And I've probably got more close friends in America than I've had here since I was 15.
George, I think when we look back to your time of playing in America, I think everybody's still talking about that marvellous goal you scored for San Jose. Mm.
Well, it was just one of those things. I mean, I look at it today and I still don't know how. It was like watching somebody else. And actually NBC, I think, or one of the big American networks, actually showed it on their program, which for them was, I mean, I think it's the only time they've ever shown football, soccer as they called it. It was nice because I was playing against one of my former teams, the team I'd played for the season before, and we were losing 2-0, and it was the playoffs. I mean, so if we lost, we were out. It was, I don't know, it was just one of those things. It just, you know, they kept disappearing. I don't know what it was. I remember watching it the first time, and I was actually counting how many players. It was just one of those marvellous things, you know. It was a one-off, you know. And even though it was in America, I remember someone saying once that in this country, when they saw it, well, he wasn't actually playing against any, but there were two lads in their team who had played in English First Division. They had a Chilean international. They had a fellow called Cubillas, who played for Peru, who was brilliant. They had a couple of lads who had played in English Fourth Division, and they can get stuck in as well. So I mean, it didn't matter. If that had been on a park with 7 and 8-year-olds, it still would have been a great goal. So it gave me a lot of pleasure. And as I said, we were losing till I made it 2-1, and I scored the second goal, funny enough. Went to overtime, and I hit the bar, and the centre forward knocked it in. So the whole game, it wasn't a bad game overall, yeah.
In January 1978, George married English model Angela McDonald-Janes in Las Vegas. They have a 6-year-old son, Callum Milan Best. The couple are now divorced, but still friends, as we discovered on our visit to Blondes Club in Mayfair. George is there to meet the customers, his management company has an interest in the club, Angie also works for the club in a public relations capacity.
George is a man who very rarely says no to people. He's played in 150 testimonials that I can think of. He's never said no to anybody who needed him. And I don't think that the Irish people on a whole should say no when he needs them. I think that you should pay homage to him now while he's still here, not when he's dead. And his good points are unfathomable. I mean, you know him as a person. And to know him is to love him. He doesn't really have bad points, either than most of the sons of Ireland have the bad points that George has, and that's an affliction which most of them have. Which is one we forgive, by the way.
You are divorced, but I do get the impression you're still very fond of the man.
Oh, you can't help but be fond of him.
At the same time you were playing in America, you were playing at Fulham with Rodney Marsh. There didn't seem to be any pressures then at all. It seemed to be a very happy time.
Well, Rodney and I played the same way. We played for fun, you know, and we're both, I like to think, well, I know that Rodney says the same. We're entertainers, apart from being footballers and sportsmen. And if, you know, I remember the games at Fulham, it was fun. You know, we were laughing and joking and enjoying ourselves. And the fact that the cameras were turning up at games like, we were playing Hereford, and there was 25,000 people there, and the cameras were there. You know, it was just, and I mean, Rodney came up with a classic of all time when he went to America about English football. Said it was a grey game played by grey people on grey days. You know, and that's what was happening to the game. And we come back, and for those short couple of years, everything was all, people were laughing. You know, the crowds were coming back, and we did it for fun. It was nice. And it was the 2 seasons we were there were tremendous.
Best. Got out for a shimmy. Oh, a yard of space. A delightful little chip there to Mitchell. Brilliant play again by George Best. Nicely played pass again for Mitchell. Marsh. Touched in again. It'll come now through to Barrett. Marsh on the far side wanting the cross, and yet another corner for Fulham. Well, it's all Fulham at the moment, with 20 minutes gone, no score. Barrett again with it. Ernie Howe up in there, Mitchell, Marsh. On the edge of the area is Best. Carter getting it away. Cutbush. Slough. Mitchell setting a little dummy. Slough going through. That's the goal by Alan Slough. Lindsay now to Burrows. Oh, a bit of space there for Davey. He's gone through them. Is this the equaliser? Good save by Fiedemera. And Cutbush now to Best. Space ahead of him. Terry Payne coming back as hard as he can. Payne still after him. Still Best going on. Tripped. Free kick. And Fulham quickly getting on with the game. The ball with Marsh. A touch now for Cutbush. Hit low there. And it'll come now for Evanson. Oh, a tremendous goal. 2-0. Best. That's the Best. Oh my goodness, he hit the post. They're strong for Fulham. Best. Oh, what a ball there by Best to Marsh. And a beautiful save by Charlton and Marsh, jumping all over Burrows. Nice jump by Mitchell. Marsh there to collect. Well, he wrong-footed them all there. And a lovely ball for Best. Now can he do the same? Onto the right foot. Mitchell on the far post. Marsh with the header. Best making his presence felt there again. Now it's John Evanson for Fulham. Played inside for Marsh. Looking around, seeing who he can pick up. Decides to go one in. Oh my goodness, what a goal! Oh, what a tremendous goal by Marsh. Moore heading that one away. And now Marsh and Best are up. Best inside his own half. Marsh brought down. And Best on his way. Now he's got Tyler to beat. Oh, and in the end, Burrows came up so quickly to dispossess him. And Marsh remonstrating with the referee that he was bowled over away in his own half. Strong. And now Best. Hurdled beautifully over Tyler. Took it off Rodney Marsh. Marsh coming back to tackle him. Well, you can do that when you're 4-1 up. Here's Mitchell. Free kick, right on the edge of the box, given away by Galley, who's had a fairly rumbustious afternoon, this big number 5 of Hereford. Another smile. And they're cooking up something. Well, the goalie will want a clear view of this. You can take my word for it. Best and Marsh will be cooking up something. And it almost came off in an unexpected way. Lobbed up by Best. Hit by Marsh. In fact, there was a handball before it came to Ernie Howe. Here's Best again, from that pass by Marsh. Played on now for Mitchell. Marsh and Best are right up there. Curled it just wide. That was John Mitchell turning on the style a little bit. Mitchell. Best again. Now taking on Burrows. There's Best. Oh, and saved by Charlton, and saved well.
A couple of top strikers who played against Best were Scotland's Ian St John and England's Jimmy Greaves, better known nowadays as the Saint and Greavesy, two of television's most popular soccer pundits. I joined them in the Saint and Greavesy studio in London, and as you'd expect, the discussion had its lighter moments. But soccer's best-known double act also gave frank opinions about one of the world's top solo artists.
we were all footballers, but he was a little bit special because he could do things, just spontaneous things that only a genius could do. And I just feel very aggrieved that George couldn't handle the situation he was in and play right through his career, because we as fellow players at the time missed him when he left. And I'm sure that millions of fans, not only in the UK but around the world, missed George Best on the big stages of the world, you know.
And looking how it all went wrong for him, Jim, do you feel he was unlucky being a good-looking Irishman with a twinkle in his eye?
There's no such thing as a good-looking Irishman, Jack.
Looking
Come
at
on.
him, you said that.
No, well, he
Thank
might
you,
have
Jim.
a twinkle in his eye, but that's about it. No, I feel with George Best there was a problem from the off. You see, I've got a feeling that there are a lot of people that can't carry the burden of being a genius, and I think George Best was a genius.
Well, I mean, you look at the great players of today, the Maradonas of the world. I mean, the pressure that boy gets, I mean, all around the world. You know, I mean, he goes around with a dozen security guards, but he's able to handle it.
George was a born natural footballer who came from Ireland, and I don't think he could live with the situation within himself, not with anybody else, but within the pressure built up in his own mind and his own body.
Let's talk about the testimonial.
Testimonials usually are for players who have really put something into the game. And this is a testimonial, it's a thank you, isn't it? Now, you couldn't say that George really put an awful lot into the game for his country or his clubs, because he packed in when he was like a 27-year-old. And during that time, I mean, he went absent quite a bit and gave a lot of people some aggravation, you know, including Matt Busby and everybody else after that. George has had a lot of chances in life.
Sure, I appreciate everything you're saying, Ian. All I'm saying, though, is when you say that he didn't give a lot to the game, you know, I saw one game of George Best is equivalent to 10 years of another player's mediocre performances, who also earn a lot out of the game and really put very little back.
The original decision to veto the game sparked off an outcry from the public, but many still felt he didn't deserve the testimonial, claiming that George could have played more times for his country. How does he defend himself against that accusation?
If I hadn't spent 10 years in America, I probably would have got close to Big Pat, playing-wise. So I lost 10 years almost, you know, because I wasn't living in this country. So that cost me a lot of caps. And also, when I played at United, we were always in Europe, you know, so a lot of the times when Northern Ireland were playing, Manchester United were playing. But there again, at the end of the day, you're leaving it up to the general public. You know, if someone thinks I don't deserve it, you know, they don't have to come. If someone wants to come and say thank you in whatever way they want to, that's also up to them. I mean, I've never ever refused anyone as far as playing for them is concerned. I've played in between 300-400 testimonials, and I do it because, you know, I do it out of respect for other players, and that's why not only the players are going to come, but the people who are going to come, they're going to come, I hope, out of respect from the football side of it. Because I don't think many times I've played at Windsor Park there were many empty seats.
He's a very complex person. I think you find this in any walk of life when you're dealing with a genius.